Hey, what's up, y'all, and welcome to the channel. Today we are in Hot Springs, Virginia at the Omni Homestead Resort and Spa, and standing next to me is the man that taught me everything about golf that I know. He is the director of golf at the homestead, taught over 10,000 people in his time here.
Wow, you're aging me, Caleb.
Yeah.
This is about teaching our friends that are going to follow us about golf, but I have a lot of experience in teaching. I was nominated with Golf Digest as the #1 teacher in Virginia and top 100 in the country. But this is not about me. This is about you all. And we want you guys to learn from us, and we're going to take you on a journey that will be guaranteed to improve your golf game.
Yeah. And most importantly, I don't know if he told y'all this, but he is my dad. We appreciate you being here and excited for this series. So let's get started in the video.
One of the very first things we did at the golf schools, and what really is crucially important, are the fundamentals of the golf swing. The fundamentals of the golf swing are the things you do before you swing the club, and they totally impact how you swing the club and have a direct effect on your ball flight and your speed and all the above. So the acronym that I consistently used at the golf school was the word GAS.
Yeah.
So the G in the word GAS stands for your grip. You know, how do I hold on to this thing correctly? The A in the word GAS stands for alignment. Alignment's very difficult, and it's certainly result-oriented, but it's difficult because you're facing in a certain direction, bent over, trying to do something consistently in another direction, so that's difficult. And then the S in the word GAS stands for your stance, which is, there's a lot involved in your stance, but we're going to cover those in our next videos.
Okay.
Today, I want us to focus on the grip alone. As Ben Hogan said, your grip is the only contact you have with the tool. So it's important that we hold on to it correctly so that our body and our arms and our hands can work in unison, and it's not just hands only or not body only.
Right.
They need to work together as a unit. So what I like for you to do is I like for you to hold the club in your right hand, and we want to identify the very top of the grip. So my Callaway clubs have a line on them, and most grips will have a line or an indicator of what is the top of the grip. So with the club in your right hand, I want you to take your left hand and stretch your fingers out, and I want you to put your left hand down at the bottom of the grip with your fingers basically perpendicular, not exactly perpendicular, but close, on the very left side of the shaft, and allow as your hand closes, I want your left thumb to be slightly right of center. Now the purpose of this is to try to get this heel pad on the top of the grip. The reason you want to get that heel pad on the top is because during the golf swing, you would like for your wrist to be able to hinge in this capacity.
Right.
Now that we have the left hand on the clubs correctly, let's put our right hand back up there and put it in our fingertips so that 2/3 of your right hand is remaining. With your right hand in that position, I want you to slide your right hand down until the pinky of your right hand is touching your index finger of your left hand. Now currently we're using a 10-finger grip, more so known as a baseball grip. And we'll talk about other options for that in just a second. But the key here is when you slide your fingers down that your pinky and your index finger are touching, the key here is that there's no separation in your hands. Your hands need to be very close together, and with the club in your fingertips, you're going to wrap your right hand over top of your left thumb, okay? And from there, I never want a long thumb. I want a short thumb, and if anything, almost an elongated trigger finger of the right hand. And this in the fingertips is going to allow your wrists also to hinge, but it's also going to allow you to maintain the proper grip pressure. Grip pressure on a scale of 1 to 10, we should maintain about a 3 on the grip pressure scale. And the majority of that is in the last 3 fingers of your left hand. We're never squeezing tight in the right hand because that typically is an indication of someone that's hitting instead of swinging, and that's another video.
You want most of your pressure in these last 2 fingers?
Absolutely. I'm holding on most tightly with the last 3 fingers of the left. The right hand could literally almost slide on and off the club very easily, but it's holding on there just to kind of like a puzzle. These hands are going to fit together like a puzzle. And as I look down, I can see at least 2 knuckles on my left hand, and that's without moving my head. And I feel like the V of my right hand, the V between my thumb and my index pad, and the V of my left hand, both of those V's are hopefully pointing at my right shoulder. So that would indicate I'm in a pretty neutral position with light grip pressure. And as you hold the club like that, think of your body as an elephant's head and the arms an elephant's trunk. If you start to turn your body and rotate, Caleb, show us. If you turn your body just back and through, the wrists are going to want to hinge, so just relax and feel the weight of the club all the way to the top. You can see his wrists are hinging. He has a proper grip and allows him to set the club at the top, create the angle, which is leverage, and that's a crucial part of generating speed, but it's also very important to be able to square the club face at impact. So a good solid grip is extremely important. As we mentioned before, when you slide your right hand down, you want your fingers touching, your pinky and your index finger touching. This is a generic baseball grip. Kind of beginners tend to gravitate toward this grip, but our advanced players will typically take their pinky of their right hand off. And what does that allow us to do? That allows us to do with our right hand.
Slide it down.
Slide our right hand down one finger closer. So what that's allowing our hands to work together versus having them fight against one another.
And I feel like it gives you a lot more just rotation in your wrists. Rather than here with a long thumb or the 10-finger grip, you're not getting as much. You kind of want your hands closer together always.
Absolutely. And whether you overlap that or you interlock these two fingers, a lot of ladies, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods, they both interlock. Whether you do any one of those three options, the key is to make sure your hands are close together and never separated.
Yeah.
And the grip pressure again is a what?
3.
3 on the grip pressure scale. Very important.
Do you overlap or interlock?
I overlap, and currently because of my wrist injury that I've recently, I'm actually overlapping 2 fingers right now.
Oh, really?
Because I felt with my wrist injury I was really becoming more right hand dominant. So taking my fingers and overlapping 2, that's really taking my right hand out of the equation. So hopefully it's allowing me to use
Stick
my
with
left.
1 for now, right?
1 finger overlap, correct.
1 is in full teach mode. I like to see it. Let's go over a couple things just the wrong way, like the terrible grips. This would be a really weak grip in my mind, right?
That's correct, Caleb. So what you can see from his hands in this position, his left hand, take your right hand off for a second. His left hand is rotated to the side of the club to the point that his left thumb is actually to the left of center on the left side of the shaft from his perspective. And if he puts his right hand on there in the same capacity, his right hand is dramatically rotated on the other side of the shaft as well.
Dad, won't you show me the effects of having this weak grip?
Okay, step in there to that alignment stick because we're going to use that. So when someone has an extremely weak grip, which typically means for a right-handed person, their hands are rotated on the left side of the shaft way too much. So what that does is during the backswing with his hands in that position, typically when someone's hands are in that position, when they take the club back, the arms are going to want to over-rotate the club in the backswing to the tune that this club is dramatically fanned open. In a perfect world, the club face would be toe up or even maybe slightly on that side of the shaft. But with that really weak grip, that puts the club head on this side of the shaft. And then when it gets to the top of the backswing, which we call down the line position, you can see now that the club head in this position is clearly on this side of the shaft. So that's a dramatically open club face position. That will typically produce a dramatic slice because the club face is not going to get squared up at impact. The golf ball is going to have counter or clockwise spin on it, which is going to cause it to curve to the right. So a bad grip in that capacity is again going to make the club over rotate into the checkpoint. At the top of the swing, it's going to make it in the wrong position here where the club head is on the left side of the shaft from you viewers' perspective, and it's nearly impossible to square the club face from there. That's a slice typically. Most of you slicers are probably doing this to some degree.
So we talked about a really weak grip. So I would say this is a strong grip. Anything over here on the right side of the grip, right?
Yeah, so anytime that you open your hands from this position, so if you had the club there, if you were just to open your hands and stretch your fingers out, if you stretch your hand out and you can see that this right hand is pointed skyward when you open it up, it's in the wrong position.
Okay.
When you open your hands in a neutral position, the back of the left and the front of the right should be pointed at the target.
And it's going to come straight off your fingers.
Yeah.
Instead of like this, which
Yeah,
would be strong.
That's dramatically strong, and that's going to really impact the club face.
Right. Okay. So what are some things that somebody with a strong grip, what are some problems they would have that you could kind of point out right now?
Well, let's step back down the line. Let's talk about what effect that has on the checkpoint. So with that extremely strong position, as you can notice, Caleb's forearm and his hand is already rotated in an open position. So now the forearm is inclined on the backswing to want to rotate almost the opposite direction. So now when he gets to the checkpoint, the club face is dramatically closed. The club face is pointed to the ground, and then when it gets to the top, the club face might be dramatically on that side of the shaft, which is a very strong and or closed position. So from there, with any kind of rotation on the downswing, you can see that's going to produce a very closed club face. It's going to be difficult to get the ball in the air with that. It's going to probably make the ball want to curve hard to the left. So the opposite of what we saw before when the club gets over-rotated, if the club rotates in the wrong position, the wrong way going back, then we're going to see that the club face is closed, and that's probably going to produce a hook. So, Kato, put your hands on there neutral, and let's see what a proper checkpoint, which is when the club gets to horizontal, looks like. So what we're looking for, folks, is when he gets to right here, this toe of the club should be slightly on that side of the shaft. And then at the top, the club face will be slightly toe down, but almost on that side of the shaft, just slightly. This would be dramatically closed at the top. This would be terribly open at the top. We're looking for that neutral position right here where we can return the club face to a square position at impact.
And as you were twisting in my hand up there, it was really hard for you to turn the club because my hands are on the correct way.
Right,
So
right.
that goes back to us just gripping the club in a neutral spot. It's really hard. It's harder to fan it open or really close.
Right, if you have your hands on there correctly, it's going to be easier to hit that correct position at the top.
Let's put it all together and do it in full speed. All right. Right hand up. Left hand slightly left of center. Heel pad on the club. Right hand slides down. Right finger on the slightly left of the club. Both of these cracks pointing up to my right shoulder with a slight trigger finger overlap grip. Let's see where that pressure is up here. Grip pressure is at a 3 on these 3 fingers. So get here, toes slightly in from shaft. Let's go ahead and hit one shot.
So Caleb, that was a pretty good shot. I liked the checkpoint. I thought your grip was very neutral, and we hit a great solid shot with a square club face.
Yeah.
That's the goal, is that we make our swing repetitive. Remember, folks, a good golf swing is not one that's pretty, and it doesn't have to hit it 300 yards. It just needs to be repetitive, and that starts with a good grip.
So we talked about the letter G in gas, which is grip. Next week, we're talking about alignment A, and we'll see you there. Thank you for watching.